the House of Cards podcast.
The show where we break down the art of creative real estate investing. Join us as we dive into the world of real estate with insider.
Get ready to stack the deck with the House of Cards podcast.
The show where we break down the art of creative real estate investing. Join us as we dive into the world of real estate with insider tips and tricks for making your investments go further. From buying with no money down to flipping properties for profit,
we've got you covered.
Plus, stay tuned for expert guest speakers who will share their knowledge and experience in this ever-changing market. So grab a seat and get ready to learn the secrets to success in real estate investing. And now, from Alaska to New York, your hosts, Chris James and Jesse Stanton.
That's freaking awesome, man. I love that. From Alaska to New York. We got an entire country between us. How you doing this morning, brother? How are you?
Good, man. I can't complain. How you been?
Good. Amazing. We're getting a little more daylight every single day now. And life is good, bro.
That is tonight, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's tonight that I think we lose an hour, if I'm not mistaken. I think we lose an hour.
Dude, gosh, yeah, I don't know. I don't even know. Time has just been, it's not even a thing for me right now, bro. I sent you for everybody who didn't see this. I had to share this on Facebook this morning. Or it wasn't this morning. It was, when was it? A couple days ago. I texted Chris about a property and he's like, bro, we closed on that. I was like, oh my gosh, that's just how freaking dialed in and focused we've been, man. Thank you guys for joining us this morning. I see James. Welcome, bro. Thanks for being here, guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for being here, guys. This is a new intro to our new podcast. We thank everyone for being here. We're streaming from YouTube, Facebook, basically all platforms moving forward. Next Saturday, we actually will be streaming on all podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And I just found out recently that Androids have a podcast of their own. So it's called Google Podcasts, and they'll be streaming on there as well, starting next week, along with iHeartRadio. So it's pretty neat that we're transitioning over to this more so, and we want to give everyone just more so option and our resource, whatever that looks like specifically. So yeah, thank you guys for being here. James, good to see you. Thanks, Joe, for that comment. Much appreciated. I think Jesse had to step away with the kids a little bit, but we got Carlin in the building. Thank you all for being here. And guys, if you haven't joined our new Facebook group, it's the House of Cards with Chris James and Jesse Stanton. Please join the group. We'll actually talk about this a little bit later, exactly what we're going to be doing in there, who we're going to be bringing in, and what that looks like moving forward. So thank you all for joining. Again, if you're on YouTube, we automatically be able to see you, but if you're on Facebook, you definitely have to grant StreamYard some kind of access. I think it's in the top right hand corner, 3 dots. Just please grant access so we can see who we're talking to. But amazing. Thanks for being here. And just I was waiting on Facebook by accident. No problem, man. No problem at all. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. So yeah, and again, those are who are just joining. Jesse will be back in just a second. He's just handling. He's playing Mr. Mom today. He got the whole army over there. You know, he got about 6 kids, so he'll be right back. But yeah, we're going to be talking about what we're going to be doing. More so in the up and coming, who's going to be coming on. It's going to be a lot of powerful individuals coming on to share their experiences in the real estate industry, from 6, 7, and 8 figure individuals who's producing that on a monthly basis. So it's going to be pretty neat to hear these individuals talk about their experience, how they got there, and what that looks like. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit later, and also we're going to be talking about as far as exactly what's going to be happening within our Facebook group and what that looks like just moving forward over the next few months. There's going to be a couple of pivots, so I look out for that, and there's going to be a couple challenges that we're going to be doing within the group, and also a friendly competition as well. So it's going to be pretty neat as far as what's going to go on within the group. So I'm pretty excited about that. And we're going to have I'm not going to announce it now, but we'll probably announce it probably towards the end of the podcast, and or maybe in the Facebook group. But you have to join the Facebook group in order to hear about the challenge and what that looks like. Shane, great to see you here. I'll tell you, Shane's a phenomenal individual. Thank you. Much appreciated. Pansy's back. Great to see you guys here. Again, we're streaming from Facebook, YouTube. Next week, we'll be streaming on 10 different platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio. So it's going to be pretty neat. It's going to be pretty neat. And then we got Julie Bart. Look at this phenomenal individual.
Julie! We're buying a property with Julie, actually, in Virginia.
Absolutely. That's going to be pretty neat. That neat. The property itself is just a turnkey asset, and that's going to cash flow instantly as soon as we take it over. So I'm pretty excited about that. I made it, Cindy. So this is Facebook user. This is a perfect example. We may say this about 6 or 7 times during the show, but just want to let you know, Facebook user. I believe this is Cindy. Cindy, you know better. Come on now. But please grant streamer access so we can know whom we're speaking to. So we make sure we showcase whatever your needs are. This is a platform for you guys to work together, and also for us to provide resources, whatever that look like. Yeah, so I'm super excited. Yeah, Julia, I saw you in the comments, just commented again. We're super excited about it as well. So absolutely. Facebook user, happy Saturday. What's going on, fam? Happy Saturday, Chris and Jesse. Thank you so much for putting this together. Thank you. No, thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of our Facebook group. Sorry, I had to step away real quick. Like Chris said, I've got the minions running around this morning. My wife's at the hospital working. So yeah, between trying to make some seller calls later and run a podcast, I'm playing Mr. Mom as well. So just I've got multiple hats on right now. So anyway, I appreciate your guys' patience. Thank you. Yeah, like Chris said, welcome to the new episode, guys. If you guys are not in our Facebook group, we got some really amazing things lined up that's going to be very unique. And I really haven't seen a whole lot of people doing it in any of their Facebook groups. I think this is going to be awesome. Like Chris said, we're going to have some challenges, some things that we're going to exercise your guys' minds. It's going to allow you guys to get uncomfortable, to grow, and do it together. Do it in a community. If there's one thing that I've learned over the last several years in my real estate endeavors, it is just how important freaking having a community to surround yourself with and to go through these things is when you're building a business. So we really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you very much for giving us a little bit of your guys' time on Saturday. When we were coming up with this name for the podcast, Chris said something that stood out, and I was like, dude, I freaking love that. Because for everybody who's been following Chris and I, you guys know that we're, obviously big into wholesaling and creative finance, and we're buying and hold and doing lease options and wraps and fix and flips and all the things. And we're working in all 50 states, literally all 50 states. We got buyers in all 50 states. We work in all 50 states. We're buying literally anywhere. And I don't know, kind of everything too, as well, right? Like laundromats, hotels, residential, commercial, the whole shebang. Derek, what up, bro?
Derek Barton.
In the house. I heard a rumor. There's a rumor circulating around stuff too that Derek and Cody were like cousins or something like that. Is that true,
Barton,
Derek?
good to see you, man.
But dude, the kind of think about the podcast. Like Chris brought this up, and I was like, dude, oh my gosh, that's genius. But think about when you guys, for those of you guys who have already been in real estate for a little bit, you've got some transactions under your belt. You guys know that nothing ever goes the way that it should be, right? And you pick up properties, things that end up going wrong, and you're like, well, shoot, what do I do? And what's neat about the community we have, and then having all these extra tools, i.e. creative finance on our belt for us to pivot, you never know what hand you're going to get dealt when it comes to real estate. And so we want you guys to feel like you guys have the tools, the community, the resources, the network, everything at your fingertips available to you so that you can stack your deck. So when you come across a property where the seller is motivated and you know nothing else, there's no other resolution for this. They can't sell it on the market. Agents can't sell it because of the market trends that are happening right now. What do you do if this thing doesn't cash flow as a rental? How do we turn around? How do we make money on this? This is where creative financing comes in. This is where the importance of stacking your deck, having a community, and all of these different things just available to you if you're willing to get in here and to be intentional with the things that you want to do, the direction you want to go in your business, and the relationships you want to build. I think Pace said it best, and I think everybody would agree here, is nothing will impact your business more than the state of your relationships. There's
one of the little ones. But yeah, absolutely. So more so, what Jesse was stating is 100% correct. More, you literally, when in real estate specifically, you never know what kind of hand you're going to be dealt. No offense of us about it, right? So, that's where we came up with the name, because initially with Jesse and I, we buy a lot of properties, right? And we buy not just properties, we buy a commercial and what that looks like moving forward. And it's just, you really don't know what kind of hand you're going to be dealt. You really don't. It could be great on, the pictures, the videos you send. You could do all the due diligence in the world. When you really start getting down to the nitty gritty and get in the property, you just never know. Like perfect example. My triplex I just bought literally a month and a half ago. I budgeted about maybe $10,000 for the first unit just to get that a basic cosmetic update, and I spent over $8,000 more than the initial budget. Because we had electrical problems, we had to replace panels, we had to do a lot of different things, and it's totally fine, right? You just never. It looks great when all this information is coming to us, and do the due diligence, and it was creative. So initially, you just never know what kind of hand you're gonna be dealt. So that's why we were trying to we're trying to come from experience, right? We don't want you guys to go through what we've been through, which is Jesse and I combined, we have a lot of experience within the real estate industry in all aspects, from novations to seller finance, subject to note invested. I can go down the list. There's like over a minimum like 10 exit strategies like we can go across and go into very detail exactly what that looks like. And I'm more so like, I'm actually super excited. In a few weeks, we're actually going to bring in a real estate agent who's extremely well versed in the investing side of things as well. And he's been doing it for a long time. He actually owns a brokerage, and more so, he converted over. He's converted over more so specifically to the creative finance world, because initially, when the market was going in the opposite direction, he had to find a different outsource. So creative finance was the way to go. And which brings us to more so, we're going to be talking a lot about the little nitty gritties of why agents want to work with us now, because initially they're not making as much as they used to a few years ago, or even a year ago, because the market has changed. Houses are sitting. Even in the best markets, they're sitting. You can do all the analysis in the world, but it's just the fact of, if you don't have the right people in your corner and or those resources, that property will sit for 60, 70, 80, 90 days. And that's where we come into play. If it's sitting in the market, give us a call. We love working with agents. I think our last 3 or 4 properties, we're working with agents. Agents, you will get your commission, the commission that's reasonable. That's not, we don't care about how much you want to make. We want to make sure the seller is taken care of. And a lot of agents that we come across, sometimes we got to have that gut check to have that conversation with the agent to let them know specifically, hey, we're working in the best interest of the seller, correct? Because initially, a lot of agents just think about their commission. They will let that sit for 70, 80, 90, 100 days at their full commission. But us coming in, we can potentially get you your full commission if you're able to, open your eyes to something a little bit less conventional. And that's where, Jesse is actually phenomenal on the phone. So when talking to agents and breaking that down, Jesse and I recently literally we love hopping on Zooms with sellers and agents. We literally just had a couple of days ago. It was myself, Jesse, a wholesaler, one of our other partners. We had the transaction coordinator on the Zoom. We had the seller on the Zoom. We had everyone involved in the deal on the Zoom, breaking down, hey, these are our options. This is what it looks like moving forward. What do you think the best case scenario for you? Instead of us just thinking like, what is Chris and Jesse going to make? No, we don't care what Chris and Jesse is going to make. We need to make sure the seller is solution is solved. And a lot of people don't understand that. They got to really stop worrying about the commission first, and really let's put the client first, and things will go a lot smoother. and get to the finish line a lot faster.
Well, it's not just with agents though, as well either, right? I mean, how many times have you had a wholesaler come to you with the seller's got a problem that needs to be solved, and they're like, "Hey, I've got this deal. This is what's going on. How much money are we going to make?"
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Let's get in here. Let's get on a phone call with the seller real quick, and let's kind of break this down and try to figure out how we can even be a solution for them. I know Chris and I have shared this before, but this was just such an awesome example. And this kind of stuff happens all the time. There was a seller in, actually, are we closing on that in a couple weeks in Anchorage?
Yes, that is correct.
Oh yeah, cool. So there was a seller in Anchorage that her house was about to go to auction. I mean, we were like 3 days from auction. I mean, just in 3 days alone, like Chris spent, I don't know, like 24 hours on the phone, accumulative, trying, between lenders and attorneys. And it was interesting. But the first time that we spoke with this seller, we were on the phone with her for maybe about 45 minutes. And in that 45 minutes, we didn't know anything about the property. I mean, if you guys for those of you guys who are in stuff, you guys are familiar with the 4 pillars, right? The timeline, motivation, price, condition of the property. And not once did we ever ask anything about the 4 pillars. We simply were trying to understand what it was the seller was trying to accomplish, what she was trying to do, and what she thought the best route to take was. And simply, as Chris and I were just practicing active listening, I think that's where a lot of people get backed into a corner, is because they're not actively listening to what the seller is. And that's why Chris and I hate scripts. We absolutely hate script, because people get so focused on their script that they're not even listening to what the seller is saying. They're focused on what are they going to say next. So not to deviate too much, but I kind of wanted to hammer on that a little bit, because had Chris and I done the same thing, like, we wouldn't be a resource for a lot of these sellers in the way that we are. It's almost kind of like dating. Like, remember, think back to when you guys were dating. Maybe some of you guys are still dating, but could you imagine going on a date with somebody and you have a script right here in front of you? And your date, for me, I'm a guy, I'm into chicks. And if I was on a date with a girl and she's sitting here telling me about, she went to the salon and got her hair done, or, whatever. And my next question to her was, okay, so how many kids do you want? Wait, what? Does that even make sense? Like, she's sitting here telling me about her day and going to the salon and getting her hair done. And then my response to that is immediately like, all right. Like, imagine if you had a script for the person you were dating to find your wife, right? You got these things that you need to know. You got your 4 pillars, right? She's telling you about her hair, and you're like, all right. So Melanie, let me ask you, how many kids do you want? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it kills the flow of the conversation. It kills any rapport or credibility that you have of building with that seller. So Chris and I talked with the seller in Anchorage for about 45 minutes. And at the end of the 45 minute, we threw out a couple different options. Some of them did not even involve Chris and I buying the property, and a couple of them did. And ultimately, she chose to sell it to us on a sub 2. So we're buying it on a subject 2, taking over her mortgage. And at the end of that call, she was like, all right, yep, sounds good. Let's go ahead and move forward that way. And we're like, okay, cool, sounds good. All right, well, have a good night. We'll see you later. And they're like, whoa. Hey, wait a minute. I'm so sorry. I just realized I don't even know anything about the property. Can I at least get the address from you, and we'll get something sent over? So
we did not have an address.
Contract for probably a week before we arranged for me to go walk the property. I think, didn't we, Chris?
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Like, literally right before we was hopping off, and we was gonna get her over documents, and we didn't have the address. And that lets you know right there specifically, like, we care more about her situation versus the dollar amount we're going to make on the property. Because initially she was in a jam. And this is actually a perfect example, because she's a 20-year-old agent. She's agent. Been an agent for 20 years. She could have easily listed that herself. It's just, she had an unfortunate situation. She lost about 5 family members immediate family members within a year time span. So she felt comfortable with us. We built the rapport. And it wasn't like we were trying to like build credibility, build rapport. We were just being ourselves, like literally trying to understand the situation, really trying to understand exactly what the next steps look like. And as Jesse stated, like we did provide her a lot of different options, even options that doesn't go with us. Like if she didn't want to go with us, she could have went and listed that property herself. She could have went a different direction. She could have did all these different things, but she wanted to move forward with us. And actually, coincidence, it's so funny. Actually, a couple weeks later, so we're supposed to be closing this property first week of April, right? And Jesse and I reached back out to her just to touch base and see how things are going with her. And I think this was 3 days ago, or I think it was Tuesday. Tuesday or Wednesday. Yeah. But we reached out to her just to have a conversation with her, and she was giving us an update as far as what's going on with the house. She's still in a position of transitioning, packing, and all that good stuff. And she was talking to one of her good lawyers, and her lawyer was advising her that she's selling this house for much less than what she deserves, like much less. So she was basically giving up a lot of equity, right? And she told her lawyer that she doesn't care. She knows exactly how much equity she has in the property. She still want to move forward on the deal because of Chris and Jesse. And because all the things we went through, like we helped her stop the we extended the foreclosure, we stopped the auction, we did all these different things, and she felt confident and trustworthy that one, we were going to get her out of this situation, and two, she didn't care who or what was going to tell her don't go with Chris and Jesse. And we're not trying to
threaten to fire her attorney.
Yes. So that's a perfect example where literally just make sure the seller or client that you have is taken care of. No ifs, ands, or buts. They come first. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And people got to really understand that. And as Jesse stated, like that I kind of wish we would have recorded that conversation, man. Because literally 45 minutes.
Yeah, it was a great one.
47 to be exact, but 45 minutes. Literally, we did not know exactly where the property was located. We didn't know if it was a fire damaged property. We didn't know if it was down to the studs. We didn't know nothing. But that's a true testament, more so like the seller really comes first. And that was definitely, we should like to share that, because more so a lot of people don't understand, like as Jesse stated, people reach out to us all the time. Hey, how much are we going to make off this deal? How much are we going to make off it? I don't know. What's the situation with the seller? What's the situation with the agent? Like, we got to figure out that situation and what that looks like. But more so, yeah, we just wanted to share that and let you know this is the type of things, this is who we are, what that looks like. And more so, next coming weeks, the next coming months, it's going to be a lot of exciting things that's happening within the Facebook group and also on the podcast. So more so, if you are new, Jesse, you want to introduce yourself and more so tell all your whole army of kids, you got 18 kids and 14 dogs. And
yeah, of course. Yeah. Thank you, bro. Thank you. I appreciate it. First of all, I'm very humbled and blessed and grateful to be here and to be partners with Chris. From Alaska to New York. It's just so surreal, it really is a testament of what you can do as long as you're intentional with your time and you're aligning yourself with the right people and you're building those relationships. But as Chris stated, I live in Alaska. I live in a small igloo here in Alaska. This is my igloo. I've got 4 kids, a wife, 2 Yorkies, and we're all just kind of bundled up in here. I've been in sub 2 for going on 3 years. I joined right when Pace started his mentorship. And I didn't know anything about real estate prior to that. Actually, as a matter of fact, I never thought I would end up going into real estate. I had a friend reach out to me. It was about 3 years, I think, like this month or something. And we're getting just reconnected over Facebook, Chris. And he's like, we're just doing the whole, hey, what have you been up to? What have you been up to? Because we're childhood friends, but we haven't spoken in like 15, 20 years. And he asked me, he's like, Jesse, have you ever thought about getting into real estate? And I was like, yeah, I thought about getting my realtor's license a few years ago when I used to live in Phoenix. And he was like, no. He's like, I'm not talking about being a realtor. He's like, I'm talking about being an investor. I kind of give him this long, sarcastic, like, oh, why didn't you say so? Blah, 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 because I knew I didn't have money to invest, And I told him, I said, I don't know if you know anything about Alaska, but it is expensive AF. And, to go buy a fourplex in a good part of Anchorage, is I'm going to have to put, 6 figures for a down payment. I was like, dude, I don't know. I was in the military at the time. I was in the Air Force. And I was like, dude, I don't know if you know anything about, being in the Air Force or anything, but it's not like I've just got 6 figures burning a hole in my pocket so I can go buy a fourplex, man. And he's like, you know what? I've got to Zoom with some other guys, some other investors later in the week. How about you just jump on and just be a fly on the wall? And I thought, wow, man, that'd be fantastic. I would love to. So I went ahead and I jumped in that Zoom, and I turned my camera off. I put myself on mute, and I was kind of half-assed listening, if I'm being transparent with you guys. But then the people that were talking, they started talking about buying real estate. They started talking about making money. And they started talking about doing it utilizing somebody else's money, utilizing somebody else's credit, utilizing and leveraging somebody else's debt. And I was like, whoa, this sounds like something I've never heard before. It must be a scam. I was like, man, let me listen into this. This is kind of getting to be a very interesting conversation. So that's kind of what started the whole rabbit hole for me. I ended up joining a couple of mentorships immediately afterward, and to include Sub 2. And so, like I said, I didn't know anything about real estate prior to that, Chris. Like, I didn't know what a title company did. I didn't know what the difference between title and escrow was. I had no idea really what a real estate agent did, other than I was supposed to give them a jingle when I wanted to either buy or sell a house. And I was just so green, dude. I knew absolutely nothing. I never thought that real estate would be something that I would ever do, let alone leave a 14-year career in the Air Force to go do full time. So it's so neat, man. I love, and I'm very humbled and blessed at the opportunities that I've had to get in here, to be surrounded by the right people and the right community, and the effect that it's had on me as an individual, as a father, as a husband. We're even able to have, like, this is now like dinner conversation, for my family. We talk about how to provide value, how to lead with value, how to serve people, how to look for opportunities to help when they're at school, and things like that. It's been just such a neat experience, man. So creative finance
Amazing.
and this community has been my entire foundation. Like, I knew more about creative finance, and then after a couple months, I had to go figure out what house hacking was. Like, I kept hearing about people talking about house hacking, and I'm over here talking to sellers about Sub 2. You know what I mean? So it was interesting that was my foundation, but it's just been such an amazing experience, man. And I'm very blessed and humbled that I get to be able to do this and to give back and help other people who are trying to, do the same thing.
Amazing, man. Yeah, amazing. So, just like think about what you just stated. It's just literally everyone comes from different paths, right? Different paths, different upbringings, different atmospheres. Hell, I'm in New York, right? You're in Alaska. That's
yeah, couldn't be further apart, man, unless I was on Mars.
So it's pretty neat that you shared that, and more so, like, just for a little bit about me, more so, like, coming from a hospitality and corporate like atmosphere, it's totally a different ball game from like real estate. Like, just being a real estate investor, the nuances of being a real estate. There's a lot of pros. There's a pros, cons in any industry you go into, right? More so, it kind of goes back to where when I've been in the corporate world for so long, because those who don't know me, I was in the hospitality restaurant industry for 7 years as a GM and 2 years as a director of operations. And when COVID hit, more so, it was more so like a wake up call. I had a buddy of mine. We graduated together. His name is Maximilian. Well, Maximilian. We call him Maximilian, and he's really a millionaire now. So it's the reason we called him a Maximilian in high school, because it worked out. But he been in real estate when we was in high school.
Oh, wow.
Right. And I didn't get into real estate till pre-COVID, or in the transition of the real shutdown of COVID.
Right.
And it just got to a point where, everyone that at least I knew, everyone that they was utilizing the stimulus checks at the time, or unemployment funds that I was given weekly. And don't get me wrong, I was receiving them. I'm not ashamed to say I was. I'm not gonna say I wasn't receiving, because I was, right? So initially, as those funds was coming in, I'm thinking to myself, I could do the BS that everyone's doing, spending on clothes, shoes, cards, and all the miscellaneous stuff. But no, I really was thinking about Max at that time, and because he used to come into the restaurant all the time faithfully at least 5 days a week. No
He
exaggeration.
was driving his Lambo up in his senior year of high school. And
He actually do have one. He has three.
There you
One
go.
being a Lambo, but it's pretty neat that you just said. That's too funny. But more so, like, he used to come in the restaurant 5 days a week, right? And I'm thinking to myself, like, he used to text me. I'm like, if you come to the restaurant and or text me and say, "Hey, Chris, you ready to talk about real estate?" And at that time, specifically, my mindset wasn't there, right? I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'll call you or I'll text you later." It never
Right.
did. But when they shut down all my restaurants, I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, maybe I should become a real estate agent. That's the only way you can get into it. And that's when literally that same day or same night, I was thinking about that. I'm not for sure. It's crazy how the world works, right? He texted me. He literally texted me. He said, "So what's going on with the restaurant?" Because everyone knew it was shut down, right? Because of COVID. COVID shut the world down, right? You had to go on pause. And I finally responded back and more said, "Hey, let's hop on a call, man." So we had about a 5 to 10 minute conversation, and at that specific time, I was going in to get my license to become a real estate agent in the state of New York.
Really?
I was like 85% there. 85% there.
Really?
And
Oh, you had already started studying and everything.
100% already, like, full of books and all online, just reading my ass off, right? And then more so, I was 85% there. And then I don't know what kind of ad or how to add sponsorship came across my YouTube channel, and it was Max Maxwell first, and then it was Cody Spurbert. So I joined Cody Spurbert mentorship. I'm like, I don't need a damn license. What I'm doing? And I stopped. I literally put the license part to the side, and we're like, okay, I'm going into the investing side of things. And in my head, I already invested this initial monies to the real estate agent. They were trying to get that license and all this stuff. And I realized I can't, there's no turning back. So all this money that I'm receiving from unemployment, all the money I'm receiving from like stimulus checks, I'm using this to invest into real estate to start my entrepreneurship, right? And my mind started to change just a little bit, but not too much, where transparently I was hanging around the wrong people. I was not in the right mindset. Like, people probably already know, like, in the restaurant industry, and at that time, I thought I was making a lot of money. Right? So fast forward, I joined Cody Sperber's mentorship. And those who don't know, Cody Sperber, Clever Investor, talks about a lot of the wholesaling aspect of things and what that looks like. And after that, I joined Pro Wholesaling, Alex Martinez and his twin brother. And I was not getting traction. Transparently, like, I couldn't blame no one but myself. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I'm trying to do it by myself. Then 9 months later to almost 10 months, I joined Sub 2. And I kid you not, my first check, right? It wasn't with Sub 2. It was actually with Cody Sperber as a cash transaction. If Monique, if you're watching, thank you for that, by the way. So I wholesale my sister's house, who gave me a chance. Just within the real estate industry, is essentially, I told her what I was doing. She didn't know exactly what I was doing. She was just trusting me. I know she was probably talking. I'm just gonna say talking shit on the low, but but it's okay. That's my sister, right? But we got our house sold. And literally it worked out, right? And literally I received my first check. Initially it was $5,800. Transparently, I didn't know that was my biggest one check ever in my life.
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't know, like, is this real? Can I cash it? Do I go to the bank? What do I do? So I went to the bank nervous as shit to literally just go cash that check. And in line,
Are you trying to figure out, like, is this gonna actually clear? Like, is this real?
I kid you not. I would never, like, you would have thought I was robbing the bank the way I was feeling. Like, I walked in the bank and literally, and of course, is at the busiest time. I'm literally walking in there. It's like 4 people ahead of me, people behind me. I'm like, damn, Chris, come up with some excuses if this check bounce. Like thinking ahead, like, what's going to happen. And then literally, finally, it became my turn, right? He said, "Hi, can I help you, sir?" I said, "I'm here to cash this check." I don't know why my hand was shaking. I have no idea. Gave her the check. And then she said, "Okay, can I get ID?" I'm like, "Okay, duh, Chris. Give her the ID. Give her the normal stuff. Right. Like, what are you doing here?" So I gave her the ID. And so it took a while. It took about 10, 15 seconds. She's doing her normal process. And kid you not, She said, how would you like it back? I'm looking around like she's talking to me. Like, this is really happening. So after that, I really successfully cashed that first check. I'm like, okay, this is definitely possible. So initially using that investment to join Sub 2, and I struggled for 6 months to get my first deal because I was doing it alone. Joined Sub 2, my life changed transparently. Ever since then, ever since any deal I ever done, since then, I always JV'd, which is joint venture. Who doesn't? If you guys don't know what that is, but more so, every single deal, I always did it. I always closed it with somebody because initially, I made tons of money. Right? Like try doing that alone for 4 or 5 years. You're gonna get somewhere, but you won't get there fast enough, right? And literally, when I closed my first subject to transaction was $7,500. Subject to transaction, not cash transfer, but subject to. It was $7,500, and then as things started progression, 7,500, 15, 19, they stopped going up and up and start averaging out. Like,
Right.
This is this is where I belong. This is where I literally started changing my mind, what things look like, and a lot of people who probably wouldn't notice because I was in the corporate world, but more so, I didn't like public speaking. I don't like being on the phones. But they think like you work at a restaurant, you run a restaurant. How can you not? You run team meetings. It's totally different talking to like 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 people and like face to face. But more so, that was a hindrance when I was also so glad I joined Sub 2 because they had this community behind it who pushed you. And the true wake up call, my mindset changed instantly was when Pace Morby brung in Robert G. Allen into a Zoom within our private mentorship.
I remember that.
And literally, I was the guy that I made every excuse in the book not to get on the phone with the seller. And I think to myself, like, I got a whole CRM. I could call these sellers. And at that specific time, I was just literally, it was just got to a point, literally, I'm thinking to myself, like, damn, how many more excuses can I come up with?
I appreciate you sharing that, Chris. Because I think that is just so amazing. Because I think when people, especially when people are first starting and they're looking at people that are doing deals, a lot of them probably think like, oh, well, they have no idea what it's like to be in my shoes. Like, I hate getting on the phones. I would hate to call people. But here you are sharing it. That was exactly you, bro.
Yeah.
Coming up with every excuse in the book.
Yeah. Every excuse in the book.
Can anybody else in the comments relate with this? Like, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah,
James,
man.
you're right. JV is so satisfied because a lot of people don't understand. If you try to do it by yourself, you may get it done, but it's just going to take so much longer, right? And it goes to the who, not how principle more so. And just to gear it back just a little bit, but Robert G. Allen made a comment, and I won't never forget it. And ever since he made that comment, it changed my life. Probably people probably think like, okay, that's nothing, but it truly is. It truly means a lot to me. Due to the fact of he made a comment in the Zoom where we're all in with Pace and the rest of our community, and he stated, "How much money are we losing being fearful?" Because that's what it comes back to, being fearful. And I'm thinking to myself, how much money am I not making because I'm being fearful?
Yeah.
How much money, how many opportunities, literally, I kid you not, leave it on the table or somebody else is going to grab this opportunity because Chris is, I'm not going to say it, but I'm like, Chris is just being fearful or just being that guy who doesn't want to get on the phone. But as soon as I ended that Zoom, that was actually emotional Zoom, not just for like everyone there, but Pace was there. It was more context behind what I just stated, but more so that changed a lot of my thinking. So the next day, I kid you not, opened my CRM and I was calling everyone. I was looking for the FUs, the no's, the everything, and I was looking for it. Like, I'm like in my head, like, who's next? Like, who's going to curse me out today? Like, what does that look like? Like, it just got to a point, like, it made me get better as far as it made me not just get better experience. It enhanced my communication as far as how to communicate with sellers, how to communicate with agents, the terminology. The more times you do it, it becomes second nature. If you don't do it, you'll be in the same position a year later. And after that, I kid you not, Robert G. Allen, I won't ever forget that. Robert G. Allen, and then even Ed Milet of last year, it was just a lot of different things started to sink in where I got to get away from these people. I got to put myself in a position where I'm controlling my life. I'm controlling how much money comes into my bank account. And now just not my bank account, it's our bank account. Like initially, you know, at the end of the day, I got to make sure Jesse and his family is there's food on their table. We're in the business together, and my mindset changed because if I was in the corporate world, I thought I was making a lot of money. I wasn't. On a hypothetical, guys, just think about this. The people on an average make about $50,000 to $60,000 a year on an average, right? Imagine receiving one check for $50,000 every other month or every month. What can that really do to you or for you? Can it change something? Can you celebrate? Like, what does that really look like? Is that success for you? Everyone has a different meaning of success, right? It just determines exactly what your overall objective is. My definition of success is extremely different from everyone that's in the comments, from Facebook, YouTube, or wherever you're watching from. And it just gets to a point where if you eliminate that fear, or if you do receive that fear, it's good. It's okay. If you don't got fear in something you're doing, there's something wrong. I look for fear. I really look for fear on a weekly, daily basis. I kid you not, because nerves, those things are good things. Those are good things. I kid you not. Like I really, like there's a couple of things I want to do this year. Not just myself, but Jesse and I want to do this year that it's beyond what I would have thought of 3 years ago. It's beyond. I would never 3 years ago. I'm like, no, I could never do that. I can never do this, or whatever that specific may look like. But Jesse and I have a lot of objectives, goals, and tasks that we're going to do this year and that we're going to make happen. And the only one that can stop us is really ourselves. Stop putting the blame on everyone. Put the blame on yourself and see how you can actually learn from what happened. We communicate with a lot of individuals who like to play the blame game. And we have a lot of conversations with people who just don't understand why I'm in the same position as of 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. Start looking in the mirror. That's what we had to do. And I'm not trying to,
like, one of the probably the best pieces of advice. Like when you and I got together shortly after, it's coming up on a year. Our bromance, our broversary, is that a thing? That's coming up on a year, dude. And that was one of the things that I really appreciated. One of the things that I learned from you specifically, because I've been in different partnerships and things like that throughout the last couple of years. And, you're trying to figure it's almost like a marriage, you're trying to figure out what your role and your responsibility is and how you guys are going to commingle. Once you get back from the honeymoon and the newness is off, it's like, all right, well, it's time to go to work. What does this look like? If there is a disagreement or if there is something that needs to get done, but it's this person's responsibility and it's not getting done, like, how does all this kind of stuff happen? And one thing that I specifically learned from you, amongst a ton of other things, but this one thing was specifically always stood out to me, and I loved that from you, was that you all, even when it's not your fault, look at what happened from the perspective of it is your fault. If you guys have business partners, for example, and they have certain roles in your guys' business, and maybe something's not getting done, it's really easy to sit here and say, well, we're not where we want to be because of this person. And I guarantee if you ask your partner, they're going to say the exact same thing about you. And so now you end up in this stupid, battle of the wits, and you guys are going back and forth and playing this blame game and all these other kind of things. But one thing that's going to cure that is literally what Chris said. Step back. This is where personal growth, development, mindset, all this kind of stuff comes in. Take accountability, even if it's not your fault. If your partner is supposed to do something, if your partner is supposed to send an email and it did not get done, look at that scenario right there from the perspective of it's my fault. Yeah. Even though there's a fine line between what your role is, what their role is, and their role might fall in sending emails. Not to say that it does. I'm just using this as an example where there's a clear black and white line between something they were supposed to do. If you look at it from the perspective of it's my fault and take responsibility for that, what is that going to allow you to come up with in order to negate that or overcome that, to make sure that process is more streamlined and doesn't continue happening? because most people would be like, well, it's their responsibility. It's their fault. This isn't getting done. Clearly they're slacking. But maybe it could be as simple as something, hey, you know what? Be a better leader. Maybe you can set a reminder in your phone once a week, a reoccurring reminder to touch base with them, to communicate more effectively. How are you going to grow? Look at it from the perspective of when it's your fault and your business is on the line, even if it is somebody else's, even if it's somebody else who shares equal responsibility, look at it from the perspective of it is your fault. And that is going to change what you do in your business. It's going to change how you communicate. It's going to change how your day-to-day tasks are drawn out when you look at it from that perspective. And what's unique about mine and Chris's partnership and our friendship and our brotherhood is I know that, so he knows that I'm looking at everything in our business from the perspective of it's Jesse's fault. And I know that Chris is doing the exact same thing. So it's very unique. I wanted to hammer down on that, Chris. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
I just thought
fine.
What you shared was just so profound and is impacted me personally. Not only as a business partner, dude, but again, just as a friend, as a husband, as a father. I think about what you stated and told me a year ago, and it's just crept into other parts of my life, man. It's just helped me grow all around. So I just wanted to hammer down on that real quick for everybody else who is listening, just so everybody understands that little things like that are easy to get to get missed. But when you really take something like that, what Chris just said, and you're intentional with that, you write it down, you ponder it, and you think about it, and you learn how to implement it, it will change everything about your life and about your business. So anyway, sorry, I just wanted to hammer down on that, dude. I love that piece of advice. I just want you to know it's had a profound impact on me as well.
No, I appreciate you sharing that, man. Definitely appreciate it. And appreciate I want to say thank you for our friendship as well. I want you to definitely know it's mutual. No offense about that. And so guys, I just we wanted to harp on that more so specifically because we want to let you know you're not in this alone. Whatever that looks like. If you're Jesse says this all the time, and I think that's phenomenal. We're nowhere better than anyone that's watching right now. Nowhere, or even listening in the future. We're literally just a couple of chapters ahead of you, like literally a couple more chapters. That is it. And at the same time, like I'm looking at these comments, we got Emily, Angel, Mark, Joe, Facebook user, Maggie. I can go down the entire list that you guys are phenomenal. I think everyone on here, actually, I don't think I know everyone on here. I know for a fact could be making 6-7 figures by the end of the year. But there's only one person that's going to stop you. It's not Jesse and I. It's literally yourself. It's literally yourself. And I don't want to hear the excuses. I got 6 kids. I got 7 kids, and I can't do this and this. There's no excuse. It's really not. It's just you creating that excuse in your mind that makes it feel better. That is it. And a perfect example. I'm a single father, and I'm not just saying I'm a single father, and I do a lot of stuff by myself. Granted, I do got people who can support. Whatever that looks like, I can go make sure I go to like travel to different meetups and speak at different engagements. But more so, what I'm leading to, like, there's always a who, not how. Jesse and I built our entire business on the who, not how principle, and it's just a matter of finding out who and basically and how you're going to proceed moving forward. Maggie Iglam, as I'm saying, Iglam, it's about helping each other also as a team, as all the pieces to the puzzle make the whole picture. 100%. There's going to be a million different pieces. Let's bring that puzzle together. That is all. Thanks for sharing that as well. So guys, it's going to be so excited for us up and coming few weeks more. So we're going to be talking about how to find like motivated sellers. We're going to be talking about how to negotiate deals, structuring creative finance. And a lot of people don't understand there's so many the creative finance. I don't think there's a number of how many different ways. every single way we're doing something. Every single day we're doing something differently that we probably thought of right then and there, and or specifically just enhancing the will that was already there, right? And like I stated earlier, novations, note investments, seller finance is, traditional, I think, but more so you can be creative with seller finance. You can be creative with wraps. You can be creative with subtels, hotels, not HOTEL, whole HO. It's different with a W. So hotel. So there's so many different creative options out there. A lot of people don't know. And that's why Jesse and I love talking to sellers, having those conversations with agents and opening their mind. As long as they have an open mind, we can get a deal, or we can still have that conversation with the seller and get the deal done. But the agent, if you're doing on market, just got to be open. If the seller, we like to present 10 to 15 different options, whatever that may look like for her or his situation. Jesse and I talk about it all the time. We kind of wish we can go back to our first initial conversation when we thought wholesaling traditional was the only way. You had to get a steep discount, you had to do this, but now you can technically wholesale at market retail price. I'm sorry. And it's pretty crazy. If you get
Which
the numbers,
we did.
Yeah, 100%.
We do. Yep. There was a property Chris and I were working in Arizona, and it was I don't remember the numbers. I think it was for sale for like $315. The mortgage payoff was like $295.
Yep.
So it was worth, or they were asking exactly what it was. I'm beg your pardon. Hold on, let me back up. The loan payoff was what the retail price was worth, what the house was worth. Gosh dang it. I'm sorry.
No, fine.
crazy morning for me this morning. So they had to ask more than the property was even worth so that they could cover closing costs and commissions after paying that mortgage off. And Chris and I were able to come in here, buy it subject to, and then we wholesaled it for $30,000. So a property that had zero equity in the deal, Chris and I turned around and wholesaled that for $30,000. So that's just the power of what Chris is talking about, just stacking that deck, because you never know what hand you're going to get dealt. And it comes back to community. It comes back to resources. It comes back to relationships. It comes back to leading with value. I met, guys, if you guys don't, oh, Joe, thank you, bro. Like up the video, y'all. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you. Justin, thank you for being here, guys. But this is just a synopsis. This episode here is specifically, we just wanted to reintroduce ourselves, reintroduce the new podcast that we're doing, and what you guys can expect from it. Chris and I started a Facebook group. If you're not in it, please go check it out. Jump in there. It's called The House of Cards with Chris James and Jesse Stanton. And as Chris stated, we've got some amazing things. You want to dive into some of those things we're going to be talking about real quick, Chris, before we wrap up?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to have it on a weekly schedule. As we're going to be having people, if you guys want to come in there, you can literally hear the communication where we're talking to sellers and deep diving in and also underwriting after getting off those conversations with the seller. So you're going to hear live seller calls. You're going to be learning how to structure creative finance deals. We're going to be showing you how to find your buyers, whether that's a land developer, whether that's a short-term rental buyer, whether that's a buy and hold, whatever that specifically may look like. But we will be showing you so much and just giving you guys so much resources. We will be providing you documents. So far as some like cash transactions, some assignment agreements we can provide. There's a lot of different things we want to just make sure you guys have at
grits.
You said grits?
Scripts.
Oh, they say grits.
not grits. Not grits. You know what? I didn't know. I grew up in Idaho, bro, and I did not know what the hell a grit was until I was 18 years old, and I flew down to San Antonio, Texas, and went to Air Force basic training. I remember walking in line with my tray, dude, and they're like, "Do you want a grit?" And I was like, "What the hell's a grit?"
Yeah,
not grits. We don't give you any grits.
Jesse is right. Scripts. We're going to do a lot. So we're going to have a lot of different things. So definitely join the Facebook group. You'll see live action, and or specifically if you want to reach out to specifically one of us, just feel free to reach out any of our social medias, and or if you have our phone numbers, just definitely give us a call or text. And we're here to see everyone grow. No offense about it. We want to make sure that you have a resource. You're not in it alone. Jesse and I, we learn from doing it alone. So we just want to make sure exactly like you guys don't feel like you are alone. And if you are having trouble as far as like finding deals or whatever that looks like, reach out or make a post within our community. Like literally, it's right on our screen. The House of Cards with Chris James and Jesse Stanton. Make a post. We have phenomenal individuals who can show you how to find leads for free. And if you have a little bit of capital, we can show you what the best niches are. Or the niche list is. I'm sorry about that. And there's so many different options. So where I'm gearing to, there's really no excuse why you're not successful or should be in the next chapter in your life. Because I know for a fact, Jesse and I, we're not going to stop as far as what we're going to continue to do. And again, it leads back to one thing I kind of want to leave with more so is just I really want everyone to write down what is one thing you could change in your family right now. Like, what is literally one thing you can change in your family that you will want to do if you had, on hypothetical, a 6-figure check hit your account today? What are you really going to do with that money? So it's a lot of different things to think about. I really want you to write that down because then you can reverse engineer and see exactly how you can get there. Because if you want 6 figures, easy. 3 months, 2 months, that can change. You got to be consistent in what that looks like, but that can change. You can't just sit down and wait till it be given. And a lot of people don't realize that you really got to work for it. So people, I forgot who said this. I forgot who said it. Jesse, you may know who said this, but they
Tom
say
Cruise.
Tom Cruise. They say your first 6 figures. No, they say your first $100,000 is hard. Your next $500,000 is easy, and so on and so on. It becomes second nature to receive this money. And I think it was Pace actually. No, Ed Milet. That's what it was. Ed Milet said it. So yeah, it's very true. Like it's very difficult to receive your first $100,000, but once you receive that, the next transition to to $250,000, $500,000, $1 million, it becomes easy. You just got to continue doing the same thing you've been doing. Repeat the wheel, but don't get too comfortable. Ed Milet said it best. If you want to make big money, go after bigger problems. Stop going after the little stuff that seems easy or convenient at the time. And Jesse and I, we like going after big problems. If somebody said, "Oh, we got a $2.9 million asset," okay, let's get on the phone with the seller. Let's have a conversation. That doesn't scare us. It's just more so. There's just more zeros. That is it. It's nothing. There's no difference. So it's great. It's great that you have a community, right? Whether that's you're in our Facebook group, as far as the House of Cards with Chris James and Jesse Stan, or the Pace Morby group, free group, or whatever community you're in. Just if you need help, reach out. You got to ask for it. I learned the hard way. Just ask. That's it. Just ask.
Everybody that's making money, Chris, is up here. All the abundance is up here. Everybody who's making a shit ton of money is up here collaborating. There's nothing but abundance up here, dude. Everybody that's worried about what's the I got a word of the specific that I'm looking for. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't get to it. But everybody else who's worried about all the scarcity and all the terrible mindset stuff, man, that's all at the bottom. Like you got people who are like, we've had people send us deals that they want help with, and just part of our business operating plan is if you send us if you have a deal that's locked up and you need help with dispo, we just want to see the contract just so we can verify the numbers, that you are direct to seller, just that everything is legit before we start sending stuff off to our buyers. Because that's the last thing we want to do is discredit ourselves or ruin relationships we have with our buyers when we didn't take the time to verify that information. So people send us stuff, they have it locked up, but they're like, man, no, I don't want to send you a contract. Like they're like everything's already locked up. They're worried about us stealing our. I'm like, dude, I got Pace Morby's contract, man. Like, I don't need your contract first and foremost. But guys, everybody who's making money, everybody's collaborating. Everybody just has a big abundance, and everybody up here is just all working together. No one, there's no scarcity. There's no, none of that kind of stuff. So we get it. Like we understand how overwhelming starting a business can be. We've been there, and maybe a lot of you feel the same way. Maybe a lot of you are like, because there's so many different parts to starting a business. Like, where do you start? Are you a buyer? Do you want to do lead gen? Are you a closer? Do you not want to talk to anybody? Or do you want to talk to everybody? I don't know. There's so many places to go. And in real estate, I think Pace said it best. The problem with real estate are there are too many ways to be successful in it. So again, a lot of the things that Chris and I are going to be talking about in this podcast, a lot of the activities and things going on throughout the week in our Facebook group are going to help you guys organize that information, be intentional with it, take action on it, and to go do something with it. And it's also going to involve building your network. It's going to involve putting you in places that are uncomfortable. But guess what? You're not going to do it alone. We're going to hold your hand and we're going to do it with you guys. It's more fun that way anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Michael, can't wait to work with you as well, man. Let's make that happen. Let's definitely make that happen. So yeah, as you know, we're a little bit over time, but more so, guys, thank you for being here. We truly appreciate every last one of you guys watching live right now and who's going to be listening in the future. And again, we're going to be streaming on Spotify. I'm trying to think about Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Music, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. So yeah, we will be all over to give you guys a variety, wherever your preferred favorite. It's just so interesting. I just found out Google had a podcast. I never knew that. I don't know why. 32 years, never knew that.
Because you're an Apple guy, dude. That's why.
Right.
Not a communist.
There you go. But
yeah,
more so,
guys, real quick, just as we're wrapping up, Angel, announcements. Can you elaborate on that a little more, Angel? I kind of gave an overview. Maybe you're thinking something specific. But I know within our Facebook group, we're going to be doing a lot of stuff throughout the week to include, we're going to have mindset Zooms. We're going to have people calling sellers. We're going to have people showing you guys how to underwrite properties. So if this is all things that you guys are wanting to learn or things that you align with, please get in the group and be intentional. Introduce yourself. We've had a ton of people come in there and thank you guys for introducing yourselves. People are sharing a little bit about themselves, their business, in a video format, in a real format, a picture with them and their family. Please get in here and interact, be intentional.
Yeah,
some of the things.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
No, I was just saying thank you. Definitely introducing yourself and seeing what that looks like. Because that's the start of many conversations. So definitely continue to do that, interact with each other, JV with each other, and let's get deals done. That's it, guys. Thank you for being here. Again, some of the things you can expect on podcasts and future episodes. We're going to be talking about how to find motivated sellers as these trends over 2023 continue to go down and interest rates continue going up. We're still going to be wholesaling. Creative finance is going to be more instrumental and paramount, more so this year and then the coming 3 to 5 years than any other time before that. So we're going to be talking about all of those things. How to negotiate the deals, how to structure creative finance deals, how to find buyers for your wholesale deals, and tons more. So again, please tune in. If you guys got value from this at all, please feel free to like and subscribe. Head on over to Chris and mine's YouTube channels. We're going to be live streaming this every single week, every single Saturday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
Thanks for listening to the House of Cards podcast with Chris James and Jesse Stanton. We hope you've enjoyed this episode and have learned something new about real estate investing. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for more tips and tricks. And don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Until next time.